They'll lynch you, but he did, and he laughs at
Good afternoon and welcome back to the West Ham Network. I am Anton, bringing to you today's live West Ham Daily. If you're new around here, please do make sure you go and hit that subscribe button. We're on the march where I think we're literally a hop, skip and a jump away from hitting 13,000 subscribers. The subscriber count has gone mental over the last couple of weeks. So please, if you are watching and you don't normally or you're new around here and the button isn't grayed out or whited out or whatever you want to call it, then click that button and hit the subscribe button. Definitely. Hope you are keeping safe and well as per usual in another roller coaster of a week as a West Ham fan. Obviously coming off the defeat against Man City. I've had time to compute it. I'm not going to go over it. We've done enough of that with the review, and then of course with Russ coming back with his review and player ratings yesterday. But we move on to the big game now. At Nottingham Forest next weekend. And will we be playing with new recruits coming in? And will some of the players that are currently in the squad be heading out the door? I'm led to believe, and I think we are all led to believe, that that will be happening at West Ham this week. Anyway, before we move on, I'm going to jump into the chat, see who's kicking about in the chat. Where are we? Irons, Toby Sampson is in the house. Hope you are well, Toby, mate. Good to see you. David Stacey, afternoon all. Good to see you too. Ludders, hi all. West Ham Network. Irons. Hi everybody. Can't see us getting enough deals done in the next couple of weeks to be all. I do. Moyes has came out and put his neck on the line and said it as it is. He needs recruits, and we can all see that even with a couple of players coming in the door, that we definitely will be bringing recruits in the door next week. Gaza is saying, hi everyone, hope you're well. Gaza, good to see you, mate. Garino's in the house, good to see you too. Get Attila Slazly. Russ did do a piece on him yesterday. You can see the little ones walking around in the background. Wave, why not? No, that's it. Freddie and Mila. Mila, wave. There you go. I don't know if you heard them. Attila, I think he's definitely a good signing. I'm not going to be talking about him because we did talk about him yesterday. Tielemans, I mean, I'm going to mention him briefly. You'll see what I talk about with regards to Tielemans as well. Gaza, hi, Garino. Football Discusses in the house. Hey, everyone. Brian is saying, what do I think about us being linked to Lucas Paqueta? Join me on the Hammers Headlines later on, where I'll be talking about 3 other players that we are linked to. As the transfer window is coming to an end, you're starting to see West Ham potentially hone in on some players, and you can probably see who we realistically might get and who realistically might not get either. Duke's in the house. Good to see you, my man. If you haven't already, go and check out the Forge from Iron West Ham YouTube channel. Give them a little cheeky subscribe as well. Dan Hammer, please not Mings. I've seen it. I'll be talking about him later on the Hammers Headlines, so make sure you'll see it as well. Stuart Russell, hi Anton. Good to see you, mate. I've seen something linked with Lucas Paqueta. Not sure how reliable the source is, but yeah, listen, at the end of the day, what we'll talk about is what he could bring to the club if he is a genuine contender for coming in. Are we in favour of Benrahma going? I want the guy to succeed so much. I really do. And I'll talk about him as we go in the show, and I'll give you my explanation on what I think might happen. Graham Lindsay, good morning from Canada. Good to see you, mates. Thanks, Toby, again. Good morning, Irons. Robert Singleton, good afternoon, all. Papa Firth, afternoon, all as well. Usual suspect, not Mings, the man is trouble with a capital T. I'll talk about him at 5 o'clock, but I don't know. Under the right manager, under the right boss, there could be something in there, but we will see. We will see as well. David is saying Slazzy is the best option. Good price and wage. Plays comfortably in the back 3 and 4 and covers 2 desperately needed positions, left-sided centre-back and left-back. Some reports say we've bid again for him. The Cat's in the house. Neil T's in the house. Good to see you, my man. Alan Dunn, of course, good to see you. Even from Australia, Anton, hope we get a few in the couple going out. Paqueta turned us down before we had even a bid. Yes, talk about him at 5 o'clock, though. He needs recruits, but that doesn't mean GSB will deliver. Good to see you started the kids on West Ham early, Anton. Listen, I did a little bit, but they just picked up on it. So, hey-ho. Listen, don't worry about Barkley. He ain't coming to us. I know. Slazoy. Sorry, apologies. Evil Essex boy. I'll put that up and I won't say it. Where are we? Oh my God. Swap Benny for Hussam War. Did you see the goal from Sarr yesterday from Watford from the halfway line? What a ridiculous goal that was to score. And I think he went ahead and missed a penalty for Watford as well. But, you know, players like Sarr and Dennis are still on the radar. Papa Firth, heard we're going for Lucas Paqueta. Benrahma can go for a decent offer, but we need to replace any outgoings. We could be up creek by the end of August. I don't think we will. I really don't think we will, mate. I really don't think. Surely Kehrer. Hello to the Hammers. Every show I say it, Anton, you do. Philip Jones is available for backup bench player, not for me and not for Moyes. Moyes is not looking at bringing in backups. He's looking at players that can contend with that first team squad. That's what he said, and that's what he's always going to do. Dan Hammer, I'm done with Benrahma. I don't think you're the only one, mate, to be honest. But let me move on to today's story, and that is that West Ham defender Issa Diop is due to sign a contract with Fulham today, according to several reports. Now, he is edging closer to completing the move to Fulham for a reported £15 million with clauses of add-ons included in that. Now, he has been heavily linked away from the London Stadium over the transfer window, and it's stated that he is going to sign a 6-year contract, which will tie him down to the club until the summer of 2028. Now, he did join West Ham back in 2018 from Toulouse in a deal worth £22.5 million. And since then, the former French under-21 international represented West Ham over 119 times across all competitions, scoring 8 goals with 3 assists as well. Now, West Ham have spent almost £100 million on 5 signings so far this summer, but David Moyes insisted last week that the club has still got a lot of business to do, and he's keen. Moyes is definitely keen to invest in this market more. But with Diop going out the door, that's going to leave ourselves again a little bit under the weather in the defence. But I've always stated that we're already under the weather in the defensive area. Moyes has stated that we've been there in this position since 2016. And bringing Naif Aguerd into the club was a great addition for West Ham. He really, really was a fantastic addition for West Ham. So it was so unfortunate for him to get an injury. And Zuma does look like he carries a knock every single game, but he needs another player to complement him. And we're now back to square one again with our central defenders. Craig Dawson's got a knock. Ogbonna's not going to be there and probably won't be there for the rest of his career at West Ham. So it looks like we're going to have to go into the market and find someone else who can come in and take on this mantle of the centre-half. And we want 3 to 4 solid centre-halves to be challenging for that position. And I just wonder if this geezer here is the man who I'm going to speak to you about next. Thilo Kehrer, who currently plays for PSG. He's just a little bit under 6'2" in height, so he's not one of the tallest players, and he is a German international, and he is currently playing at PSG, and he would provide much needed backline reinforcements after our defeat against Man City at the weekend, where, like I said, Kurt Zouma was the only available centre-back for us. Now, he is a German international, but he did struggle to hold down a regular place in PSG's starting 11 during the second half of last season, and he is now entering his final year of his contract with the French champions, and he is expected to be sold this summer rather than allowed to walk away for nothing at the end of the campaign. And he has won League 1 3 times, and he would bring significant European experience to West Ham. But the club faced competition from other clubs, Sevilla, who've got Champions League football, and it would be an interesting signing. And I think he would be a fantastic signing for us. He can operate in either fullback positions as well, so another player that can be utilised over different areas of the park. He's also rapid and one of Germany's fastest players around. When he was at Schalke previously in his career, the Bundesliga official website described him as a potentially world-class defender. And he's an exceptional passer of the ball. One of his biggest strengths is his long ball passing. He absolutely loves a long ball and he's very accurate with him. And in 27 League 1 appearances for PSG last season, he made an average of 43.1 passes per match and regularly scored 95% success rate for those passes as well. So like I said, he's not the tallest of centre backs, but he possesses an incredible leap similar to that of, you could say, if you're looking at someone who jumps really high and's got an incredible leap, as Nathan Ake from Manchester City as well. But his ability to cover different defensive positions will obviously appeal to David Moyes, and he could be available for around about £19 million. So what do you think of him? I'm going to jump into the chat and see what everyone else is saying in the chat. Where are we? I'm going to remove that image there as well. I'm really worried about Zuma. Looks a shadow of the player he was last season. Limps around all game. I said this even last year. I think he's okay during the game. It's just when he walks, he can't really seem to walk properly. I just wonder if he is carrying a couple of injuries. That's the kind of slight concern. We need a big change, more quality needed. Tommy is saying about Kehrer, his highlight is good. He made quite a few appearances, but he was never a main character PSG story, if you know what I mean. Not too sure. But that doesn't mean that these players don't have to be the main sought-after player, because Moyes can work his magic, especially when he finds the right player to fit the right system with the right squad. Definitely he is the one. Struggling to see Augie coming back to full fitness at his age, contract running out in the summer. Kehrer would be more of a replacement upgrade for Dawson, but doesn't help with the issue on the left. Garino says he implies it would be a back three. Won't be seeing Augie in the Premier League as he is finished. I think he could be as well, playing a kind of bit part role for West Ham. Scarborough Hammer says he would be a fantastic signing for us. If it was easy, it wouldn't feel like West Ham. You are right. Have we got any centre back in under 23s that could play? I mean, listen, I rate highly, did rate Alessi highly, do rate Baptiste highly, but with Alessi going, he was probably, for me, the next central defender that West Ham had produced that would have came through the ranks to get a shot. He's not given a shot. Baptiste is the right side of 20, so he's not going to make the step up this year. So no, in my opinion, no. We've seen another couple of younger boys on long-term contracts at West Ham, but there's no one ready to step up to the mark now, in my opinion. So I think we're going to have to rely heavily on transfers coming in here. Back three with Kehrer, Zuma, Aguerd, and Sazlai would be mental. Absolutely. Moyes is trying to restore balance to force this window. No more square pegs and round holes. We have no under 23s, hell, under 21s, and under 18s. Zuma looks like he's got a wooden leg, like Ben Johnson, but he ain't a centre half. I'll be honest, I've never heard of Kehrer. Those stats sound good, though. We lose the ball so often. Yeah, and again, I know I'm bringing you the stats. That's part and parcel of me doing these shows. But you have to be mindful when you do the stats, because it's all about, you can, I'm trying to think of a player. If you look at the game, from Man City at the weekend and the stats, or maybe you could look at Benrahma's stats from last year, having 11 goals in all competitions. But he's not set the world alight, even with those 11 goals as well. So stats, you have to be mindful of them as well. GP's in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Should give Augie a role in a defensive coach. Mick is saying bid made 17 million for Taylor, according to the Turkish reporters. I think Augie's replacement is naturally Aguerd. Won't give me the job of doing transfers. I'll sign as Neymar. Would I have Oxford back? He is doing well in Germany. Good question, GP. I had a lot of faith for him, and obviously with that game that he made his debut against Arsenal, he was phenomenal. And I think it was like the follow-up games, he really didn't have a great game, but then he just fell down by the radar. And I think but I think one of the biggest issues really was his attitude. I reckon he's gone abroad and it's now done him wonders, and maybe he is realising his full potential. It's just, I don't know. Yeah. But for me, it's now down to Moyes. Is Moyes a fan? Is he a fan? Don't know. Augie will be a squad player. His injury was bad, and at 32, I think it's hard to include him, realistic player for the campaign. I completely agree with you. Augie will probably do the cups against the weaker Oppo. Turn Augie into a coach now. What would the lineup be with three at the back with this player? To be honest, I don't think we will be going with three at the back. I think we will revert back to the four. And if we do get another centre half in who can go straight into the team, then I think it would be Zuma and this other centre-half, or Craig Dawson if he does come back from fitness. But I think they are going to be trying to look at bringing someone in who can actually challenge the first team. Del Boy's in the house. Good to see you, my friend. But I'm going to move on to the next story, and that is about this man, Nikolai Vlasic. And apparently, if you are believing the rumours and the reporters, etc., that Napoli are hoping to beat Serie A rivals Torino to the signing of Vlasic this summer. He's been heavily linked with a move away from West Ham, and it was reported earlier that the Turin-based outfit were hoping to secure a deal to bring the attacking midfielder to the club, between officials expected today and tomorrow. Now, Napoli apparently are extremely confident of getting this deal over the line ahead of Torino to sign the Croatian international on loan. And I wonder if there's something there that would mean that Zelensky may come to West Ham as part of the deal. Now, we are led to believe this would be a loan deal, but in 31 appearances at West Ham, he did only score 1 goal and 2 assists. He didn't set the world alight. People could say he was played out of position. People could say he wasn't given a really strong run in the team, but there was elements of his game that I didn't massively see that filled me with a huge amount of joy. It really didn't as well. But ever since completing his move from 2021 for a reported fee of around £27 million, his output hasn't been fantastic. And that is exactly what the biggest problem is. Those numbers were never going to be enough to convince David Moyes. His output hasn't been great. And I think that is and does give West Ham mega problems moving forward. So what do you think on the Vlasic circumstances? Put your comments in the comment section. But I am then going to move on to another player who is linked out of the club. And that is Benrahma, who apparently today is reportedly on the radar for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest are potentially looking at a deal to bring Benrahma into the club. Now, there's rumours kicking about 30 million quid, but I just wonder if that is fabricated stories, or is that Nottingham Forest willing to just get deals done to bring bodies in who've got Premier League experience? They're spending a lot of money in this transfer window, and they've bought a lot of players as well. What would you do, though? What would you do with a player like Benrahma? There's the question for you. You know, since he's come to West Ham, he's not really hit the ground running. Well, he has. It's been a kind of stoppy start, up and down career so far with West Ham. But I think the game coming on as a sub against Man City, hoping for something and not getting any of those crosses to connect with any of our players, and not really sometimes beating the first man really was a struggle. Now, this is his heat map for the 21-22 season. So it shows you that he does hog the left-hand side, which is not a bad thing. But his output, yeah, he has had goals, and this is one of those players where the stats are difficult to really understand. But he's a tough player. He is a tough player to crack. I don't know what's happened to him since he's came to West Ham. Maybe it's the Premier League. Maybe it is. That's the question. Is he Premier League standard or is he Championship standard? We obviously brought him in from the Championship. But if West Ham were to look at bringing in recruits, should Vlasic and Benrahma go, then who would they be? And if we are genuinely, seriously considering getting rid of the two players, surely to God, we're working behind the scenes already on some players coming in. There's no way we can say goodbye to Diop. There's no way we can say goodbye to Vlasic. There's no way we can say goodbye to Benrahma and not have players lined up already. Let me jump through the comments, see what everyone is saying. Steve Bell's in the house. Afternoon, Anton. Good to see you, my friends. Robert Singleton, could be a good thing to force Moyes to sign players. Peter saying Kouati could be signed in time to play against us on Sunday. If Oggy is going to play Premier League, then we shouldn't have gave him a contract. Diop probably would have been unhappy if Oggy wasn't in front of him. Napoli want Vlasic and Raspadori. May mean Zielinski will be pushed out. Absolutely, I can see that. I think Vlasic was a panic buy. I think what's interesting about Vlasic calling him a panic buy is that loads of clubs really rate him. So I don't think West Ham are going to have a problem getting rid of him. And it seems to be that he's suited maybe to the Italian style of football. These new visuals look really nice, man. Thank you very much, Mikey. Apparently Diop refused to play in the last 3 games. Yep, that is the rumour. And I think we need to let him go and put that one to bed. It's a shame. I'm disappointed with the Diop situation because I had a lot of hope for him. I thought that maybe he had a bright future at West Ham, but obviously it's not worked out that way. Lee Vassallo is saying Moyes is looking for pace. I'm surprised he ain't gone for Hussein Bolt or Mo Farah. I'm sure you could turn him into a striker. We are massive, everyone. Lee, what are we, mate? We are massive. Garino saying if Napoli get Vlasic, the Torino management will have another punch up. David is saying back four means we absolutely must get a left back. Back three puts Cornet at left wing back, although I prefer him on the left in front of three. Skamaka Bowen on the right. To be honest, I'm wanting him to go to Torino and be a regular there, play regular football well under fellow Croatian Juric and increase his value. He'd hardly start in Naples. But this is the question for you. If it meant that Vlasic left and we brought in Zielinski, would you do that deal? Zielinski wants 100k a week. Would we pay that? I think we probably would pay that because he's still, I mean, that drops him into like the third or fourth best paid player. And there is a lot of talent there in this player, Zielinski. A lot. Augie scored an own goal against Dagenham, looked as mobile as a static caravan. Gaza, at least it shows Diop is passionate to play football. God forbid, not even think about Zielinski joining. I want Attila. The Hungarian looks like a mad nutter. Thomas Repka style. Absolutely. Vlasic and Bema can leave. Not good enough. But leaving means we have to bring people in. We have to have people on the radar as well. I'm going to order a shirt off AliExpress. I might get a game. Duke is saying Benny's had 2 years and hasn't performed consistently. Vlasic's had a year. Vlasic must be given another year. I think the situation with Vlasic is also a mixture of what's happening in November, which is the World Cup. And the boss from Croatia has very openly said that Vlasic needs game time. He needs to play. He's obviously one of the kind of better players at Croatia, and the manager wants him to play game time. That's why I think West Ham might cut their losses here and send him out on loan, and means it gives us an option to see, can he make it again? And then after the World Cup, revisit it, or after the next season, revisit it. And if he's done well, then it's a no-brainer for the club to look at potentially bringing him back, or the club that he's on loan to, generating a fee for him that could be close to what we paid. But if we can get someone else in, Duke, that can hit the ground running, like a Zielinski, I don't see Vlasic ever getting game time if we bring in a Zielinski into the club. So I don't know, mate. I really don't know. Dan is saying shame Diop didn't show up for West Ham. His first season was stand out, but since then downwards. Yeah, him and Balbuena, didn't they? They hit a bit of a nice partnership for a while until one of them got injured. I can't remember if it was Balbuena that got injured, and then that kind of knocked that partnership as well. Cash in on Benny. It's obvious Moyes doesn't rate him. I'd miss Benny from Mikey. He's not quite first team sheet, but I feel like he wants to fit in really well. The way our squad will be hard to finish 7th. I think we cash in on Benny. Moyes played them both out on the wing. I feel sorry for Vlasic from Papa Firth. Don't think he's been given a fair crack. In the right position, he would come good. Works his socks off. Brian says, Anton, for the money we can fetch on Benny, I'd go for War. We beat Leon last year and should be looking at their players. Garino, Benny and Vlasic both suffered under the Moyes system, being played out of position with minutes here and there. The consistent end product of Benrahma at this level isn't there really. No, I completely agree with you. And I think also looking further into his game about what he is capable of doing, when he does get the goals and he does get some of the assists, that sometimes puts a gloss on the real story. And I always go back to that game. Was it Aston Villa? Was it? Someone please correct me if I'm wrong, where he got 2 assists in the game and he had a terrible game. But there were game-changing assists. If someone could please correct me on that as well. It would be amazing if Benrahma dislodged Lingard from the Notts Forest 11, especially if he did go there. Absolutely. Benrahma needs to be moved on. He's a massive disappointment, but we must have a top-class replacement lined up first. Or go for Raspadori, as he'll be a link with Skamaka. Yeah, good shout. But I think if we were going to get Raspadori through the line, then that would have been a double deal with Swassolo, and I think the owner has said losing these 2 players will be a big deal, so I think they're going to try their best to keep him if they can. Benrahma just doesn't seem like a Moyes player. Panic buy after Diangana backlash, will do well somewhere else, but don't seem to be working out at West Ham. When Diangana left, it was between Diangana, Eberechi Eze and Benrahma, and for some reason we lost out on Eberechi Eze, who was my number 1 target at the time, and then we got Benrahma, whom I loved and looked really good. I still listen, I look at Ibrahimovic and I think he's got a bright, bright future in England. I don't see him being at Crystal Palace long term. I really don't. As long as he can keep injury free, that is. Papa Firth is saying, Benny can do one. I love watching, but Jesus Christ, he's frustrating. His decision making is wrong more than often or not. Raspadori would be awesome for us, I reckon. Randolph training as a centre back this week. For the money being quoted, I'd get Raspadori over Zielinski, younger and even more potential. We need a minimum of 5 decent players to pump the holes. It's not looking good for us being here before. Felipe doing well in Serie A. A first week into the new season, maybe it's West Ham. We need to sign great players. We don't click. Haller. Love Tommy Repka, who didn't. He was an absolute nut job, wasn't he? Things go bad. Maybe Noble will come in out of retirement. Do you know what? That's the West Ham of old, isn't it? That is the West Ham of old. Could you imagine if you remember back to when we signed Carlton Cole? We released him, we signed him, we released him, we signed him. I could actually see it. Well, keep an eye on the channel, 5 o'clock, where I go into a little bit more depth on Conor Gallagher as well. For me, he is a no-brainer at the club. Never played Vlasic in the right position to run a games. Few minutes here or there. Best for him to move on as Moyes' clues at times. Absolutely. Mandy G says, hi, Anton. If we move for Vlasic or Benny, it's crucial for the replacement with another long season looming. Absolutely. Can't get 2 domestic loans from the same club, Gaza. Absolutely, we cannot. I'd love to have Benny to every party I had. Wouldn't let him take a penalty if my life depends on it. Not really a Premier League player. I would give Benny another shot. At the beginning of last season, he was one of our best players. Lost form once he came back from Africa. Gaza, David, you're right, mate. I should have thought about that. Here's the question. Vlasic and Benny, Moyes signings or GSB? Good question. Good question. They do feel like they are GSB signings. You can't remotely cut away from that. However, Jordan Hugo was blatantly a David Moyes signing. So you have to wait. We have to wait and see. But I'm going to jump on to the next part of the story, right? And I'm going to bring Benrahma back into this. But we are linked to another player. And the other player has been a long-term target of West Ham, but not just West Ham, of Arsenal. Now, he did start his game for Leicester City at the weekend. And I am talking about this man, Tielemans. I think this player is a bloody quality player. He is 25 years old and he is in the final 12 months of his Leicester deal, and it's widely expected that he will leave Leicester this summer. Now, Leicester are selling players left, right, and the centre, and they're not bringing in much cover. So I think they're going to have a really, really struggled season. They did do well with a 2-2 draw against Brentford, but it's been reported that Tielemans could be available for up to £25 million this summer due to his contract not only having literally under 12 months left, and that would make him an extremely affordable option for West Ham. Now, Arsenal have been interested in Tielemans, and they would be able to tempt him to the club because he would have Champions League football, and he has previously admitted that he wants to play Champions League football, and West Ham can only, of course, offer him, as it stands, playoff Europa Conference League football just now. But to bring this young man in would be an absolute genius bit of business by West Ham. So let's take a look at what Tielemans can offer. This is his stats versus Brentford. When he started the game, he had a 90% pass completion, 67% successful long ball passes, 100% tackle success rate, 100% successful dribbles, 75% duels won, 80% ground duels won, 71% aerial duels won, and 50% shots on target. You can see that this player plays all over the shop for Leicester. This was his heat map for Leicester City against Brentford. You can see that he was tracking back, he was moving forward, and he was in that centralised position as well. This was his heat map for the season before last season. You can see the amount of work rate that the man puts into the team. He is absolutely a ridiculous a player. I think he's a very, very top-notch player. This is Souček. I'm just using a player's comparison who plays in the central of midfield, and the amount of ground he covers as well. You can see the comparison between the two. Tielemans is definitely more creative than Souček, and they offer different outlets, but I think he would give us another exciting element moving forward as a West Ham player if he came in as well. Now, if what do you think of potentially Tielemans coming in to our club? For me, I like him. If we could get him for £25 million, then it's a no-brainer. The only thing that concerns me is if Arsenal are genuine contenders here, why have they not gone in and got the deal done? You'd think that Arteta would want this deal done ASAP, unless he's valued at a lot more money. I'm not sure, but leave your comments in and let me know your thoughts on Tielemans coming in as well. Peter saying Tielemans will go to Arsenal. Terms agreed. Benrahma is not consistent enough to be where West Ham want to be. He's a mid-table player at best. Tielemans never happening. Sarr added £10 million to his price tag last night. Broja will be difficult as Chelsea only have him as a striker at the moment. Tielemans, Souček and Rice would be a cracking midfield with Bowen and Corney on the wings and Scamacca banging in the goals. Tielemans is a big thumbs up. Liverpool will snap him up for 25 million. I want the Hungarian Hansen, the Budapest Bonucci. Have Everton signed Onana yet? Not yet, but it's a pretty much done deal. Tielemans is worth 40 million, not Gallagher. Is worth the 40 million, not Gallagher. Smeagol is saying Tielemans would be a great signing, but I think big clubs would want him. I do agree with you, and it's going to be a tough ask as well. Good to see you, Dalek. Hope you are keeping safe and as well. Tommy Black says, I'd happily give Chelsea 40 million for Gallagher rather than wasting that money on Zielinski. Come and join me 5 o'clock, where I do go in depth a little bit about our man Conor Gallagher we're talking about. I don't care what anyone says. We need to offer 38 million for Tielemans. He's worth every penny of that as well. Broja won't happen. David is saying Tielemans is valued at around 30 to 40, but if a fee was agreed, you'd have every club in the league trying to hijack it. That's the other thing as well, as I'm noticing a lot this year. Doesn't matter if you've got a fee agreed with the club. It comes down to personal terms and what the player wants. So if you're seeing West Ham linked to a player of the likes of Onana, they're greedy. They want as much money as they possibly can. So the fee was agreed, but he asked for over the odds. Whereas players like Tielemans, I think it's reported that he's earning around about 60 grand, 70 grand a week at Leicester. You could give him another 30 or 40 grand and he's still not the highest paid player at West Ham, and it won't have a big problem there. If you look at Conor Gallagher, Broja as well, that could add real value to the squad. They wouldn't break the bank as well. So definitely makes it interesting. Where are we? GP, Arsenal spend 50 million on Jesus. Maybe they don't want to spend more. Is that just done officially on Sky Sports? There you go. There you go. He's the 5th most expensive signing in their history. Tielemans won't be sold for anything less than 30 to 35. Chelsea might loan Broja, but with an option, and hope to help them develop player and bump his price up for next summer. Get out of here. If we sign Tielemans, I'm moving back to the UK and getting a season ticket. Yeah, absolutely. Onana deal agreed. 5-year contract, 33.5 million. It's on Sky now. Is it too early to bring Noble out of retirement? No, it's not. But it's a very typical West Ham thing. There you go. There's an update for you. Diop heading to Fulham. Medical booked. Looks like that's a goal deal. But it means that we are going to be short in defence. Kehrer from PSG is linked, and apparently talks are taking place, but that means nothing until the player is standing there with the shirt on. There are several hosts of other players that we are linked to that we'll talk to you about in the Hammers headlines at 5 o'clock. Benrahma, Vlasic heading out the door. Benrahma is linked to Nottingham Forest. They are willing to potentially pay over the odds, but it looks like West Ham are very keen to see him leave the club alongside Vlasic, who is looking to get some game time ahead of the World Cup this winter as well. But we will need to bring in some replacements. I'll talk about some of those potential replacements in the Hammers headlines later on. And is Tielemans on West Ham's radar? I don't know. Maybe he is. But leave your comments in as well. The thing, I'm going to address a couple of these other comments before we go. Luke is saying, what happens to Milinkovic? What I'm saying is, don't take anything off the table. That's something that we've noticed already. Do not take anything off the table. I think some of these players that we've heard from in the past may come back to be linked with West Ham as well. But there was a rumour that Milinkovic was getting a lot of interest from clubs in this area as well, because obviously he plies his trade there just now. I don't think Chelsea would do business with us because we're their rivals. Gravy saying we need a left back and would love to have Connor Cody. We probably need another centre back. Dawson and Albona have 1 more year left, and Diop gone. We need another 2 centre backs. And I think the problem with not even the problem with that is we need 2 centre backs that can come in and hit the ground running and challenge immediately. That's what we need, and that's going to be hard to find. Remember, we went for Coletta Carr. What about that? Absolutely. Loads of players we were linked to. And what we actually need to remember with him is, and also remember with Aguerd, was about the year before we were linked to Aguerd, and then the deal actually transpired a year later. Mick Anderton, Attili Sleazy is undergoing medical testing and signed as a West Ham player by the weekend. Full agreement with Fenerbahce. He will sign a contract to 2027 with West Ham. There you go. So we'll talk about that, hopefully, in the Hammers headlines later on. But if you are new around here, please do make sure you hit the subscribe button. Absolutely appreciate all the support that everyone's given to the channel. And of course, we do have channel sponsors and membership options. If you're interested in becoming a member, then click on the membership button as well. But we do have channel sponsors and partners, and as we do, we'd like to thank them as well for supporting the channel. Stay safe, join me at 5 o'clock, and come on, you irons.
Good night.